All right, welcome to the February 2026. Still getting used to saying that. Scardello Cheese Club, we are glad you guys are joining us. My name is Rich. This is Alejandro. Thanks for being club members this month, focusing on chocolate and cheese. We've been pairing chocolate and cheese here at the shop since 2009. And if you've never had chocolate and cheese together before, you're in for a treat. We celebrate Valentine's with a whole week's worth of chocolate, cheese, and bubbles classes, which we just wrapped up. And so we thought the club would be fun to reflect that. And so that's what we've got going. We've got all sorts of fun cheeses and accompaniments. So Alejandro, start us off with our standard club. What accompaniments are we starting with?
I'm excited for this month because we do chocolate and cheese pretty often at the shop. It's like, I will say, one of our most sell classes, especially during this Valentine's Day time. But for the club, we're doing ones that we haven't had before, but also some classics. The first one that we're doing is a bloomy rind cheese, which is Mountain. Mountain is a very popular cheese from California. French style, triple cream, but in a way that it's a little more decadent with flavors that evoke almost sweet butter or a little bit of cream. It's a great cheese to put together with chocolate.
Yeah, and this cheese, created by the Cowgirl Creamery, one of their first cheeses that they produced, and it's also made with milk from a really amazing dairy, the Strauss family dairy, so organic milk, and that milk is what gives it that really wonderful buttery taste.
Yeah.
So the rind on this, bloomy rind, so you should definitely try it. Really good stuff. We also have a cheese that we don't carry in the shop very often, Petite Basque. This is a small format cheese from the Basque region. The maker of this is Stara, still making these wheels by hand. A lot of times when you see Petite Basque in like a larger box store, it's going to have a wax rind versus this more natural rind. It's also typically going to be more factory produced. So this is still handmade in the Pyrenees Mountains.
Yes.
Really, really cool. Should be that sheep's milk and chocolate are just really fun together because sheep's milk is so complex.
And then also feel like this is a great way to have something middle ground that is not Spanish but also not French. If you guys even notice when you get your piece, it kind of has a rind that looks very close to the way Manchego rind looks, kind of reminiscing of the waving basket that they used to mark the sides. But the flavor of the sheep's milk that we're just mentioning, I feel like that will be the best way to find those mirroring flavors with the chocolate. I feel like sometimes we don't talk a lot about this a lot, but a lot of cheeses usually after they have a little more complex flavor and aging tend to have a lot of cocoa flavors, so some things are similar to that. I feel like Petite Basque will be one of those.
Yeah, for sure. The rind on this would not eat it, definitely. Our next cheese is one that we haven't had in like over a decade, Jura Montagne. This is a mountain cheese made on the Swiss side of the Jura Mountains, and it is kind of that classic Alpine style, nutty, fruity. It's got a little more like toasted almond, I think, to it than some younger Swiss cheeses. And this is a single mountain that all the feed for the cows comes from. And that is what makes this cheese special is what the cows are eating.
Yeah.
And I find Alpine cheeses and chocolate are just really, they're really, really good together because Alpine cheeses, because they have that nuttiness, that nutty flavor, that just is a classic combination with chocolate.
Yeah, it's almost like intensifying the flavors. But if you guys have been with us at the club or part of the club since November last year, we did Alpine cheese for November, similar style of cheese in that category. I feel like these wheels that we got have a little more aging to it. I feel like that what you will enjoy the most is the texture of the cheese itself. Lots of tyrosine crystals, but I think also because Alpine cheeses tend to have more higher butter fat content, the way it almost like coats are your mouth, it will be a good way also to put that with the chocolate, having two things that almost mimic the same textural feeling in your mouth.
Yeah, and then our last cheese we've got Sottocenere al Tartufo. This is a flavored cheese by Sergio Moro in the Veneto, so that's the northeastern part of Italy. And so Sergio is kind of this master cheesemaker who's also a master of like combining flavors with cheese. A lot of what he produces has some sort of flavor add, but what I love about it is it's always within balance. So this is studded with black truffle. There's tons of black truffle in here. It's a semi-soft cow's milk cheese, so really smooth on the palate. Why it's called Soto Cenere means under, and this is under this like gray ash coating on the outside. They make a paste of a tree ash along with a bunch of different herbs and rub that on the outside of the wheel. So the rind is edible. I'm not always a huge fan of this rind.
It's a little more. It's, I would say, out of all the rinds that we have in the club, it's the most interesting rind because it kind of acts like some sort of clay paste that covers the wheel, and the way it breaks apart is really fun too when you cut into it. But also having this like slightly natural but something else right on the outside, it helps the cheese so much to like preserve the moisture. So it's a very creamy, pasty kind of cheese. And I know truffles and chocolate might seem a little out of the box. We have done those a lot. Yeah. And there's something about this garlicky, savory flavor, especially with the chocolates that we're doing that have some sort of nuts added to it. It's almost like mimicking this slightly nutty and sweet flavor, but at the same time a little salty. It works so well.
Yeah, it's a really, truffles and chocolate are surprisingly good, and I think it's because they both have like this kind of, there's an umami element to both of them depending. So that Soto Cenere is a super fun cheese. And as a quick side note, if you don't want to have it with chocolate, you can also just shave some on top of eggs right after you finish cooking them, and that's really good too. So accompaniment-wise, we got some fun stuff, Alejandro.
As every month we have to do some sort of cracker. I feel like that's the best way you guys get to enjoy something that might not be chocolate or honey like we did last month, but the element's still there. Effis is something that we carry for a long time. The most popular we used before for the club is the oat cakes. But the cocoa cakes have this dark, rich flavor that I feel would be great to put together with the cheese or even chocolate and chocolate. They also add a little bit of toasted coconut to it, and a couple of the cheeses that are more on the aging side, the more aged ones. I feel like that will be a flavor that you will be able to identify in the cheese.
Well, and the other thing, so Effie's really cool company, woman-owned. I've been supporting them since we opened the doors 17 years ago. And one of the things that I'll say about these cocoa cakes is they are really great with both sheep and goat's milk. So for you standard club folks, this should be really, really good with that petite basque. That should be a really fun one.
I'm excited for that one.
So for our deluxe club, we've got a couple of additional cheeses and a couple of different accompaniments as well. And so the first cheese we've got is Shabby Shoe. This is made by my friend Veronica Pedroso at the Blakesville Creamery. Veronica, like me, also fellow Liverpool supporter. Go Reds! But she's just an amazing cheesemaker that's been making cheese for such a long time, and everything she makes is really interesting. And so this is like based on her love of Shabashu, which is a smaller format, wrinkly rinded goat cheese from the Loire Valley in France. This is, you can see, a much bigger wheel than this. But just has some of those similar kinds of flavors. Just really, really got some minerality to it. It's a really cool goat cheese, and we don't always have Blakesville stuff in the case. And super excited to be able to share this in the Deluxe Club this month.
Yeah, it's fun when we get stuff from Blakesville because the way she makes goat's milk taste in the cheese, or the way it tastes, is totally different than what you had before. Even the stuff that we had last month. I remember when we got this cheese the last 2 years ago, the first time, the thing you can identify the most, or like I'm sure you guys will like the most, is the way the goat's milk is so almost like mild, in a sense that it's not too lemony or tangy. You're able to taste like the richness and how creamy the cheese is. It's a beautiful cheese, and I'm sure with the cocoa cakes will be great texture.
Yeah, with the cocoa cakes, amazing. And then we also have a brand new cheese to the case, and it's a relatively new cheese to the United States. The first wheel got here in July of last year. This is a cheese from Brazil. And that might sound kind of strange, but if you've ever been to Argentina, and also other South American countries, there are a lot of folks making cheese down there because there are a lot of wine folks that came over from France and Spain, and those folks love cheese, even some Italians, and so you've seen more and more cheese making artisan cheese making down there. And so this is a cheese that's brought in by our friends at Essex Street. It's a cow's milk cheese that's made from cows that are crossbred. You've got like your classic Jersey cow, and then you've got this breed from India that were crossed. And so you get this really interesting milk that has cool like tropical flavors. There's some pineapple notes in there. Just a really, really interesting cheese. We're super excited to have Mandala in the case and in the club.
Yeah, this is cheese that I'm super excited about because it's one of the things that we never thought we'd have in the case, especially all cheese or most cheese that comes from Latin America. It's always very similar to some sort of pasta filata cheese, kind of like mozzarella. Everything is always a soft cheese. So to have something that comes from Brazil, but it's more closer to our cheese from Jura, like an Alpine style cheese, it's pretty amazing. And when you guys are able to taste that, you'll see that the tropical notes that Rich mentioned really show a lot on the cheese, but also the texture, a little bit of aging, and makes the cheese amazing.
Yeah, and that cheese and also the Jura Montagna, the rind on that wouldn't necessarily eat because it's just not. I don't think it's that great, but the cheese inside, delicious.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple of chocolatey accompaniments here too. Alejandro, what do we got?
For our first accompaniment for the lugs, we're doing a little bit of Piedras de Luna, which is similar to ones we've done before. Piedras were made with Marcona almonds, but these ones are made with cashews. I think it will be really fun to have this with mandala, almost to mimic that cocoa flavor that we were talking about earlier. Not even cocoa, coconut flavor. I feel like the cashews would be a good way to put those two together. Yeah. And as well as you have this slight sweetness, but then you get a little saltiness from the cashew itself. It's a really fun accompaniment texture-wise, but as well as the flavor. The other accompaniment that we have is a little bit of fig pesetas. These are kind of like a pressed fig that's mixed with a little bit of almonds. So you get this slightly fruit cake-like, chewy texture, and then they're dipped in chocolate. So all these, almost like having a jam in a chocolate put together that makes the soft cheese amazing, but I'm sure with the sheep's milk will be really, really good too.
They're like those. They're like very large candy coins, if you remember those as a kid. But inside there's just some really wonderful fig in there, and we love pairing fig with cheese just because it's got that beautiful sweetness that's not overly sweet, and is just a great accompaniment for anything that's got salt in it. But then you add the chocolate on the outside, and like. I love just biting into it.
The texture
is fantastic.
Yeah. And there was one more accompaniment that everybody's getting for.
Oh, we forgot about that.
Yeah.
In the standard
for standard or deluxe. Omnum out of Iceland. It's a chocolate company that we carry for a long time. I mean, at least since I've been here. Yeah. They make the most beautiful, but still like easy to just eat the whole bar on yourself. Now that I haven't done
you don't have
before.
to share.
But it's a milk chocolate with almonds. And I feel like the idea when we put the club together is to have a lot of textural elements to put with the cheese. You have the present with your more aged cheeses, the tears and crystals, but having the almonds, the cashews, and as well as the texture of the biscuits. That's something else that we're trying to achieve putting this menu together.
Yeah, and the Omnom folks, it's a couple of guys who got together. Their facility is a restored gas station in Iceland.
And start making ice cream.
But you kind of think like Iceland and chocolate, does that really go together? But I have to say, the first time I tried their stuff, I fell in love with it. And we carry a number of their bars here. But excited to have this one in the case. They always have on the outside the packaging, they've got some sort of cool animal using their kind of classic Icelandic design. So really, really fun. So that is the club that we've got for you this month. Next month, we are going to be visiting France. We're going to be focused on cheeses of France and accompaniments from France. Some accompaniments that just go with cheese from France. So super excited about that. That is coming up. But this month's club, cheese and chocolate. Yeah. So excited for you guys to try it. As always, if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, ideas, we'd love to hear it. Things you'd like to see in the club. Just shoot me an email, rich@scardellocheese.com. It's the only one on the website. Love to hear from you. Thank you guys for being part of the club, and we will see you next month.